Everyone, thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm really excited to share with you our vision and some of our goals for 2023. I've been involved with American Promise since about June of last year, and it's really remarkable the amount of progress that they made in the years that they've been together in the 5 years prior. But I'm really excited about what 23 brings to the table for us and the aggressive plan that we've laid out to bring people in and to really grow this movement across the country. There are a lot of naysayers out there, and there's a saying that critics never built anything. So there are a lot of people that say it's impossible. They say we can't do it. It's impossible to amend the Constitution now, and we firmly disagree with that. There were about 4 years in the early 20th century where we saw 4 amendments pass, one of them being the 19th Amendment, which was women's suffrage. And then later in the century, we saw another 4 pass between 1951 and 1961. Some really crucial and important amendments, all these at times of a lot of change and a lot of social pressures, similar to what we see now. So we firmly disagree that the Constitution is unamendable right now. And, again, if you're joining us, thank you again. We're really excited to kick off and talk about what we have in store for 2023. Right now, we have a tremendous amount of chapter leaders and volunteers across the country that have done really amazing work in their respective states, in their respective congressional districts. We're looking to really expand where we are. To give you a sort of lay of the land, since 2010, we saw 22 states pass resolutions in there, either by legislative process or through the ballot initiative process, passing resolutions calling on their federal delegations in their respective states to address the issue of dark money in politics. To give you a little insight, we need 2/3 of Congress, both the House and the Senate, to pass, 290 in the House and 67 in the Senate. And then we need 38 states. We need 3/4 of the states to ratify that constitutional amendment. So we're at 22 out of 38 right now. We feel that 22 are ready to ratify. Alaska was the 20th. See, it's great to see. And these are not traditionally, some of them are traditionally Democratic states, but we've seen others, some red states that have stepped up and have passed this. This is an issue that is no longer a one-sided or partisan issue. Democrats and Republicans, I think, both understand what's at stake here. The fact that we have a massive loophole that allows foreign corporations, foreign entities, and foreign countries to spend in our elections here in the United States. Our friends who are up in Maine could tell you about Hydro-Quebec and the tens of millions of dollars that they spent in that ballot referendum up there to build power lines from Quebec to Massachusetts. But this happens all the time. And one of the challenges with dark money is that it is hard to actually find the dark money because there are a lot of dead ends that we run into. We have no idea where some of this money originates, and we do have some evidence that it comes in from overseas. But the fact is, this is not what the founding fathers intended, that a bunch of billionaires on both sides of the aisle decide who the candidates are going to be out of these primaries and decide who these candidates are going to be ultimately that represent us in Washington. So right, again, we have people from all over the country who are heading up chapters that are vibrant, active chapters. Our active operations are right now up in Maine. We have a ballot initiative that we're working on up in Maine to amend their constitution to prevent foreign money from coming in and spending in state elections. We have operations in Pennsylvania and a couple of resolutions in Pennsylvania. So we're hoping to add states 23 and 24 to those numbers, but really even expand that from there. So right now we're looking at I believe New Jersey has passed there, and we'll get to some questions. I believe New Jersey, and Marie could probably tell you, I believe they are one that did pass a resolution early on after Citizens United. But we love New Jersey, and I'm a former New Jersey resident myself. But as we look forward to grow from our big operations, our targeted operations in Maine, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, I believe Commissioner Megan Borchardt is here from Brown County, which is Green Bay. Great to have you on if you're able to be on here. Green Bay, that area, Brown County, which is a Republican county, just passed in December a resolution calling on their representatives, Representative Mike Gallagher and their representatives, to address this issue. So we're starting to see this momentum. This was something that was sort of an easy yes for Democrats. More and more Republicans are recognizing the threat it is really to our democracy in this experiment that we have here. If we want to talk about ballot integrity and election integrity, knowing who's funding campaigns, campaign ads, campaign mailers is a crucial part of that process. So we're seeing this sort of momentum build in red states. We have two resolutions, one in the House, one in the Senate. In Pennsylvania that are in the House, it is a bipartisan resolution. In the Senate, we have a number of Republican senators who are on board in Pennsylvania. So again, we are seeing both sides of the aisle recognize the issue here. So from those three states, we want to, by the end of 23, be active in a dozen states across the country. We're adding Arizona, North Carolina, and Georgia. Right now, we're going to be spending a lot of time out in Texas, Wyoming, Ohio, South Carolina, and Virginia. So we want to be in about a dozen states by the end and add these dozen states to those 22 that have passed resolutions already and get us closer and get us on track to create these states and put them in what we call ready to ratify. And that is passing these resolutions and building this grassroots infrastructure throughout these states. We have a number of folks here from American Promise that represent our coalitions. You're going to hear from some of them later. They represent coalitions that are building blocks of both parties on both sides of the aisle. Everything from your social workers to those in the religious community, law enforcement, veterans, and everyone in between. So we're really increasing those sort of outreach operations in these targeted states. We feel this is doable. We have staffed up. We've made the hires, we have the plan, and we're really looking forward to what 2023 has in store for us. So it's an aggressive plan. It's not going to be easy. Our president, Jeff Clements, actually tonight has a number of people who are interested in getting involved financially with this. This is not going to be free. This takes money. This takes outreach from a digital effort to putting people on the ground. But we are putting the hard work in on the ground across the country, and really relying on many of you who have been part of this here from a volunteer aspect, and we can't thank you enough for what you're doing. This is not an issue that affects just one or two Americans or one or two groups. This is something all across the political spectrum. Progressive, conservative, Democrat, Republican, independent, unaffiliated, regardless of what you are. This is truly a bipartisan and cross-partisan effort here. So you're going to hear some great folks tonight offer, what they're contributing to this from both AP, from staff, but also from our remarkable group of volunteers that have been here and are in it day in and day out. We really can't thank you enough. So I'm going to hand this back over to Mike, our vice president of volunteer advocacy and training. We'll take some questions. We'll try to take some questions later on. If anyone has questions, feel free to email me directly. It's billc@americanpromise.net. So I'm happy to make myself available, happy to take any questions too. But Mike, we'll send it over to you. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. So before I get into it, I'm going to give you a slide presentation, but I just want to give a shout out to our coalition partners who helped us get the word out for this call tonight. We had 230 people sign up for the call, well over 100 now, and anticipate people to keep joining as we go forward. This is an exciting time to be part of this amendment campaign, and we really appreciate everybody who gets the word out there for us, and we appreciate what you're all doing in your groups, and to reform our government. Aaliyah, I saw you in the chat just a second ago, one of our coalition partners. So we appreciate you all, and thanks for being here. So with that said, I'm just going to share my screen. So just for anyone who isn't familiar with what we do here at American Promise, I'm going to go through it real quick. So essentially, the plan to restore the people's voice in government. That really is the bottom line for us. We've lost it. So quick overview. What is the promise of this country, of America? What's the threat? A constitutional solution. What's the progress that we're making? We always love celebrating progress. And of course, the funnest part, how you could be a part of this amazing campaign. So first of all, what is the promise of this country? It's freedom, equality, human liberty, effective self-governance, an equal voice and representation for every person. That's the entire point of this country. And unfortunately, we just don't have it right now, right? I can't imagine there's many people on this call that feel that we actually are being heard in our government right now. So here's the good news. We get it. The American people actually understand what the problem is. So I'm not going to take much time talking about that right now. This is threats, major threats to democracy. 86% of the American people said influence of money in politics, even over political violence. So people understand this is the problem that we have to address right now. So why? Why are people pointing to this as the problem? It's pretty straightforward, right? We can't make progress on the most pressing issues of our time. It is the root cause of our bipartisan dysfunction of our government and why our elections or why our elected officials refuse to take action on the urgent issues that we, the people, need them to solve. That's why it's such a threat. So who are we here at American Promise? We're a national, nonpartisan organization bringing together Americans from all over the country to win the For Our Freedom Amendment, which will secure our elections and a government for we the people, rather than big money corporations, unions, or shadowy super PACs and special interest. And this is really important to us here. This is not for Republicans or Democrats. It is absolutely for all of us. With more than 75% of Americans, it's probably higher than that, supporting a constitutional amendment and millions of us taking action, we can absolutely do this for all of us. That's why we need your support. So what we're advocating for here is the For Our Freedom Amendment. It's the most common sense solution you could possibly have. It simply restores power to Congress and the states to be able to set limits, common sense, reasonable limits on the power of money in our political system. That's it. So why an amendment? Right? Why is our plan an amendment? It's permanent. No standalone reform can correct a Supreme Court ruling. There's precedent. 8 out of all of our 27 amendments have corrected Supreme Court rulings. There is unity and consensus. Federalism, each state can decide what's best for it. And of course, civic trust, right? So that Americans can actually believe in their government again and start participating. So what are the actions that we're taking out there? So there's a lot of different ways. And we're going to talk about that throughout this call. There's community outreach, there's tabling, there's canvassing, you can help to pass state and local resolutions in support of this amendment. There's ballot initiatives, Chamber of Commerce around the country are endorsing it. We've got Rotary Club endorsements, we've got business endorsements. John's going to talk about that. People are signing thousands, tens of thousands of people are signing the Citizen Pledge. We really need your help getting that number higher. And we're writing and media outreach, which Marie's going to talk about. So this campaign, this amendment campaign is absolutely taking off from coast to coast right now. This is a Maine right here. There's Chris in the bottom right there. And we were the leading partner in a really amazing Protect Elections campaign that was successful. Over 80,000 signatures were collected in Maine in support of a ballot initiative in support of an amendment to deal with money in politics. And that one dealt with foreign money as well, foreign influence. Pennsylvania, the state is making all kinds of progress, seeing tons and tons of money in their U.S. Senate race. And we've got Dave Black down there on the bottom left. He was a former president of the Chamber of Commerce of Harrisburg, and he has been helping us. He's volunteers for American Promise. He's doing presentations to chambers all around Pennsylvania. We had a resolution in October get introduced in the Senate by a Republican state senator. So things are happening in Pennsylvania. Minnesota, that's Vicky Barnes right there. I actually went out and participated a little bit of this. Not going to take any credit. The team organized everything. They're amazing out there. They got 500 people in Minnesota to sign the citizen pledge, and they got 50 people to say that they would meet with their legislators at a county fair. It was amazing. Amendments, who doesn't love those? The bottom left. So they make it fun. Wisconsin, powerhouse team, bipartisan leaders on that team. We've got Rotary leaders who give Rotary presentations. 166 Wisconsin communities representing almost 3.2 million people have voted in support of this amendment. Absolutely incredible work happening in Wisconsin. And this is what we want happening in every state. And of course, as Bill mentioned, the Brown County Board voted on supporting a constitutional amendment for campaign finance reform just a few weeks ago in December. 92% passed. Texas, this is Ann Drum. She organized an event in her living room just a couple months ago. Our president, Jeff Clements, flew out. Bill was there as well. And anybody can do this. You can organize an event and host it and give a presentation and let people in your community know what's happening. And then, of course, we have our big NCLC, where we all come from around the country. We celebrate, we get together, we learn from each other. We have speakers. And then we have a citizen lobby day, and it was amazing this year. We had over 70 meetings on Capitol Hill. It was the first in-person citizen lobby day since after the pandemic. And then business community, something we take very seriously here at American Promise. John's going to talk about that. You'll see an article there in Forbes magazine talking about how American Promise is making the case to businesses. And then, of course, how you can take action, the most important part. You can always learn more. You can sign the Citizen Pledge if you haven't. Just go to our webpage to find that, americanpromise.net. We definitely want you to volunteer. Don't wait for our permission. We want you to take these resources you're about to see and just go make it happen. And of course, you can donate, as Bill said. Also, it takes a lot of resources to get this done. Amending the Constitution is no small feat. So just want to give you a very brief overview of how you can participate. And you're going to see this in the Action Center. You can go through a more thorough training. But essentially, we're trying to do 6 main things in each state: community outreach, business advocacy, legislative advocacy, fundraising, young Americans. We want young people leading other young people in this movement, and writing in media. So that's it. I'm going to pause here, and I'm going to turn it over to, I think, to Dre for the most exciting part of tonight, which is our brand new, you're all seeing this for the very first time, Citizen Action Center. I've been waiting for something like this personally for quite a while. And so I don't know if I could be more excited about it. So Dre, do you want to run people through what's, oh, sorry, did I skip one or no? Am I going in the right order? Sorry, I got caught up in my presentation. No, that's right. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you.
Oh, you, man.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dre Halligan. I'm the digital director at American Promise, and I'm really thrilled to be here tonight. Especially with that introduction, Mike, that this is the most exciting part of the night.
Without a doubt.
My role here at American Promise is big, and what I'm trying to do is help American Promise grow and in its impact and its brand recognition and in the number of supporters across the country. Through all kinds of outreach, social media, communications, all kinds of digital touch points. And what we're going to see tonight is one of those projects. It's called the American Promise Action Center. And it's a place for anyone who's interested in learning more about American Promise, getting some training in some respects, finding out what resources we have for volunteers, finding out what resources we have for approaching our representatives, et cetera. One sort of single place for everyone to go to be able to find those resources. I'm going to share my screen really quick. Great. So this is the American Promise Action Center. This is launching today, by the way. You are all the first to see it. The address for this website is action.americanpromise.net. And I'm going to kind of run you through some of the features of it. It's an absolutely free website. Anybody can come and sort of browse around. You get more if you create an account and sign in. So there's more content available to you if you create an account and sign in, but the signing in process is free and it's very sort of easy to use. I'll walk you through that as well. So here on the homepage, we every month we're going to have a sort of a survey of our volunteers. This month, it's how important do you think it is to get big money out of American politics? And it's critically important, somewhat important, or not important. I happen to think it's critically important to get big money out of American politics. So I'm going to say that answer, and then we can see how many other people have answered so far and what their results are. So every month, we're going to do a poll of our volunteers and our most active citizens involved with American Promise, and kind of get a pulse on sort of what your thoughts or opinions are of different issues. As you scroll down, you'll sort of see the top kind of news things for the month. Here on the left, there's the Citizen Challenge for 2023, January 2023, which is our first citizen challenge. Mike has created the Citizen Challenge, and it's actually pretty cool. And then any upcoming events that relate to volunteers or training, we'll sort of highlight those here. And then as you scroll down the site, you get a brief description of what the Action Center is all about, and then you can kind of see these programs. These are all available for free to anyone who signs up and creates an account at the American Promise Action Center. So to start with, we have courses on becoming an active citizen. And you can see just some details about this course. 4 people have taken it so far. It's day 1, so that number is going to skyrocket, hopefully, even after this call. And then this course takes about 2 hours to complete. This is a very comprehensive course. Mike has developed a great curriculum that really brings anyone that's new or even sort of new to American Promise through all the various stages of understanding what we do, how we interact with the public, how we interact with the media and in writing, and gives an overview of sort of the whole process of becoming an active citizen volunteer at American Promise. So it's actually a great course. Then this month, there's the Citizen Challenge for January 2023. There's a sort of a shorter course, about 20 minutes long, for the theory of change. And that's a video that where Mike and others go through what is the American Promise's theory of how we're going to change our country through a constitutional amendment. And then some more, I would say, advanced courses in a way. But once you get through the initial training of becoming an active citizen with American Promise, you can move on to various other teams that interest you. For example, legislative advocacy training or writing and media outreach that Marie's very involved with. So those are places where whatever your interest in getting involved with American Promise, you can drill down and find out a lot more information and really kind of the skills and resources that you need to be successful doing what you're interested in. So let's actually sort of take a look. I'm going to scroll back up and go to the sort of the courses section here. Again, this just sort of goes through the getting started. These are the same courses that we saw on the homepage. I'll click into the Citizen Challenge here and kind of show you what this looks like. It's very easy. I've already taken this course. So I'm going to say retake the course. You can do that anytime, by the way, if you want to sort of get the information again after you've already completed a course. And the Citizen Challenge is actually very simple. It's a video and there is a challenge here. So I won't sort of read it out to you. I'd love for you to actually go to action.americanpromise.net and find out what the Citizen Challenge is. It involves communication. It involves spreading the word about what we do here at American Promise. And that's kind of what I'll give you for now for that. And when you're done with it, you click Mark as complete at the top, and then that gets recorded in your volunteer kind of record at the Action Center, so you can track kind of what you've been doing and what's next for you. I'll go back out here. Another course, this is a more complicated course, is becoming an active citizen. So I'm only done with 2 out of 12 portions of the course here, so I'm going to continue learning here. And you can see on the left-hand side, these are all the various sort of sections here. There's a nice warm welcome from Mike, where he goes through a welcome to the Action Center and what is sort of his hopes are for you to be able to experience at the Action Center. And then you can see we have information on the cross-partisan movement that's American Promise, volunteer orientation, and then sometimes Mike, this is in his infinite wisdom, has thrown in a quiz for you to make sure that you were listening. And you have to pass the quiz to get to the next section, but you can take it as many times as you like, and you don't have to get 100%. So that's kind of the story with the courses. Also, just as a little overview here, you can scroll down, and even before you take the course, you can see what's involved in the course. So you can sort of see whether this sort of piques your interest, and this is something that you want to spend some time getting familiar with at the Action Center. The next sort of section here this is a really important one. Once you're logged in to the Action Center, there's a different navigation for members. So once you become a member, you see this tab that says Get Involved. This is huge. If you are interested in any of these various teams at American Promise, community outreach, legislative advocacy, business advocacy, writing and media, Young Americans, the fundraising team, and coalitions, you can find out more about, in a general way, what each of these teams do. And there's a link in each of them to schedule an orientation one-on-one with somebody from that team, where you can get to know them and get more information about how you can become active in that team. This information is only available to you once you log in and create an account. So for the general public, they won't see this page. They'll just sort of see a page that lists the teams and the descriptions, but they won't be able to schedule orientation calls like you would if you create an account and log in. And then this is also a little bit of a game changer for some on this call, I know, who've been asking for this for days, weeks, months, and maybe years, which is a progress and support form. So this is, it's very important for us to know what's going on and to be able to provide the kind of support from a digital perspective, or a communications perspective, or a volunteer perspective, or any other kind of operational way to people all across this country. As we grow from having hundreds of thousands of people that we communicate on a regular basis to millions of people that we communicate on a regular basis, it's really important to know everything that's happening across the country. So this progress and support form is also a way for you, as you're logged in, to be able to report an event, report some sort of fundraising progress. Maybe you had sort of a house party that was, where you raised money for American Progress, and then a published media alert. If something's in the media that you notice, either you got it published or you just noticed it in your local paper, submit it to us. We want to know about it. Any kind of activities and meetings, if you need some digital support, if you have something that you'd like to put on the American Promise calendar. For example, if you're involved in an American Progress, an AP event across the country, and you would like to make sure that we have it on the calendar, you can request that it gets added there. As you click each of these things, some information sort of shows up below this, asking for details about what you want to report or the support that you want. So if you want to add something to the calendar, there's sort of a calendar request with the date and the time and so forth, where you can sort of submit that. And this will be routed to the appropriate person at American Promise, and we will we'll respond to you as quickly as we can. Just one final thing, and again, you can tell that I'm really excited about this whole system, once you're logged in, you'll see your name in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. You can click on Dashboard. You can kind of get a sense of where you are personally with your training at American Promise. So for me, I've been playing around, obviously. So I've enrolled in 3 courses, all 3 of these courses I've completed. I haven't completed these 2, but I'm kind of, 2 out of 12 on my way to finishing this Becoming an Active Citizen. And then once I finish those courses, I'll see those under my completed courses, and I can sort of see what's next. There are certain courses that have prerequisites, like, for example, the writing and media outreach course has a prerequisite of another course that you have to finish beforehand. But all that's really clear when you click on the courses. And then another kind of interesting feature here is this feature roadmap that we have. we want to be really transparent about our goals and our process for building this action center out. So we published what we plan to do here, even though it's not all live on day one. So for example, we have sections that are submitted. These are kind of suggestions or features that people have suggested to be included in the action center. We haven't determined whether when we're going to get those ready yet, but you can see that they've been submitted. We have certain things that are planned, and these are sort of like close to being done or close to being started. A Rotary training, a training on Canva for those in the field that want to understand how to create American Promise correctly branded items. We're going to do a training so that you can kind of go back and see it whenever you need to. Achievement badges, which is kind of a fun way of, kind of getting some kudos when you finish certain things, and so forth. So there's all kinds of sort of things on this list, and this is going to be updated in real time. If you have an idea, then you just click this button here and you can submit your idea. We'll consider all ideas. We would love to know how to make this as useful as possible for those that are interested in volunteering or even just becoming more educated in what we're doing at American Promise. So I think that's sort of it as far as my presentation of the Action Center. I will just leave it again. It's action.americanpromise.net. And there's also a link under the Get Started page on our main American Promise website. So you can go from there directly to the Action Center. And in the coming days, weeks, and months, we'd love to see what you think of it and get your feedback. That's about it. And Mike, I will turn it back over to you.
Okay, well, we're going to go right to Chris, but Jure, we might have to leave some time for you to answer some questions about these characters that you just rolled out. We've got some very interesting comments.
Sure. Actually, let me give a little teaser on that, which is I'm not going to answer the questions about the characters tonight. You'll have to come back to a future webinar because it's an hour-long topic.
I had the same thought, and I was convinced after listening to Jure's his performance, his presentation. So, yeah, Chris, we're going to turn it over to you. I just want to remind everyone this Action Center is going to be evolving, and with your help as you submit ideas for it. And if you come back even in a month from now to our next call on February 8th, make sure to RSVP for that on the website. You're going to see the Action Center has really fleshed out even from now until then. So keep coming back and checking it out. We're really excited to provide really good resources there. So Chris, go for it.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. So excited to see all the familiar names here tonight and a lot of new names as well. My name is Chris Kerr. I'm the National Field Director for American Promise. And my background is in grassroots organizing. So last year with American Promise, I was organizing in Maine for a big statewide referendum that Mike was referring to earlier. And saw a lot of names in the chat earlier of folks who were working on that very referendum. So it was a big campaign for us, but I'm excited to work on some new projects in 2023. One of my roles is going to be supporting volunteers and state teams, specifically with community outreach. I'm going to be the initial point of contact for anyone who wants to join the community outreach team. And you'll be able to schedule a meeting at any time with me if you want to talk about what community outreach looks in your state. And I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But in my mind, this is one of the most important things that we can be working on this year. Mike and Jure have been working tirelessly to create and implement these new resources that they're sharing with us today so that we can continue to organize and grow. But now it's our turn to do the work on the ground in each state to grow our support base and educate voters. Community outreach is critical to our success because it is how we build a movement large enough to achieve our constitutional amendment. We're working to get states ready to ratify the amendment. But when we talk about ready to ratify, we're often referring to the political landscape, meaning will the members of Congress in that state support the amendment? But there's another definition that we're really focused on this year, and that's building the grassroots support. So making sure that people support the amendment and they're getting involved to make it happen. There are a number of ways that we'll be doing community outreach this year. The big ones are going to be joining the organization, getting people plugged in to American Promise, getting them plugged into a state team, attending events, getting involved. And that's part of the Citizen Challenge for this next month. I know Jure gave a little teaser, so I won't spoil it, but you'll have to log into the Action Center to find out. But this is our commitment. We really want to utilize our volunteers and supporters to help us continue to grow this movement. Part of our community outreach will be speaking with your neighbors, friends, and family about the For Our Freedom Amendment. We've got a citizen pledge that we ask folks to sign, and that's how we grow our support base and our volunteer base. So, going out, grab a clipboard or just pick up the phone and talk to people in your network, getting them to sign on as a supporter. On that end, some of the bigger events where we'll be collecting citizen pledges or tabling events. That's going to be a big way that we're conducting community outreach this year. We'll be going to fairs and festivals, big events in priority states or in states where people want to organize with American Promise materials to educate voters and get them to sign our citizen pledge. And it doesn't have to be a big event either. For folks who want to help, I can get you set up to take a small table to a local farmer's market, or set up in front of a small business if you get the owner's support. So there are a lot of ways that we can go out and do this, and I'm going to be happy to work with folks on getting trained up and getting the materials needed to do that. Another way we'll be doing this is giving presentations about the American Promise mission that we can present to local nonprofits. We could present to civic groups like Rotary clubs, neighborhood associations, chambers of commerce, businesses, or we could even organize presentations ourselves at a town hall and open it up to the public. And then we want to get creative. So, these are some of the tried and true methods, but if you have suggestions for how to engage the public in your state, we want to hear about them. We like to try new things and be creative. One way that we've been working on educating people is through events that we call Freedom is Brewing. And these are fun and informative meetups where we can talk about our mission and get people engaged. So I'm really excited about the community outreach team because it's where I have the most experience. I've been working at the state level here in Maine to organize grassroots campaigns for a few years. And if you've ever been part of a movement like this, you know that it's a very powerful thing. It's inspiring, it's energizing, and it gives you hope that we're moving in the right direction. One thing I hear often from volunteers is that being involved in this type of outreach, like community outreach, really helps to diminish that feeling of frustration or hopelessness with our political system that I think a lot of us can relate to. So I'm really looking forward to working with the folks here in 2023. I hope you'll sign up for the community outreach team. You can find more information in the Action Center, and we'll get a chance to work together. I'll also be working on the candidate pledge campaign. So we have citizen pledges that we ask people to sign, but we also go out and talk to candidates to get them to sign our pledge. And we'll be doing that again this year with a rollout on February 8th. And that link is already on the website. So I encourage you to go sign up. You can learn more about the candidate pledge campaign. So with that, I am going to pass it on to our next presenter, John McCree, who's our National Business Network Director.
Thank you, Chris, for that graceful handoff. And thanks to all of you for spending time with us here today. And I'm equally glad to be with you this evening. John McCree, I am your Business Network Manager, and I think we have about 4 minutes. So yeah, let's jump right in. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is which sized businesses we are best targeting for support. And on the left, you'll see a small business from Maine. And on the right, you'll see a large business, Pirelli Tire from Georgia. Don't get me wrong, we love all businesses, all sizes, but we've had much better and more efficient results with the small and mid-sized businesses. In this town, in your town, it could be your CPA firm like Pete DeFore here in Maine. It could be a dry cleaner, a restaurant owner, etc. The reason we like to target small and mid-sized businesses is because there's simply more of them in every state. And Maine's a great example. 57% of all Maine employees work for small businesses. A large business is on the right, Pirelli Tire. We love to get the support of the larges, but they're complex and time consuming in terms of building their support. So if you have a contact in a large business, please let me know, and I'll be glad to help you through the process. Next, I'd like to talk a second about the ladder of engagement. American Promise takes the ladder of engagement very seriously to meet people where they are in terms of their time commitment, the amount of time they can provide and help support American Promise. So you'll see here, the first step takes about 30 seconds, and that's following us on LinkedIn. And most businesses already have LinkedIn accounts, so they can follow us very quickly. And the cool thing is we're at about 930 LinkedIn followers right now. So we're hoping that tonight, maybe you can help put us over 1,000. If not, we'll be there certainly by the end of January. In terms of climbing the ladder, a 3-minute step would be actually joining our business network. And people have the opportunity to add a personal statement of why they support us, why their business supports us. And the link for that is here on the slide as well. And if they have 30 minutes or longer, participating in a Zoom event like you are all doing tonight, a business event, legislative advocacy, all the things that Dre talked about, that would be a great next step. And then more advanced steps, if you happen to have Rotary and Chamber of Commerce contacts, other business civic groups, we'd love to engage with them as well, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. In terms of the business collateral that we have an enormous amount on our website, so please feel free to check that out. If you need to email folks or actually even print out hard copy, I recommend on the left here are business talking points, why pay to play. That's a one-pager, both-sided, and we've had a really good response from that, salient points and easy to understand. If you can't find any collateral that fits the needs in your state or community, we've customized content. You can see this on the right. One of our leaders in the Lehigh Valley wanted something with fewer words and more graphs. So we created that form as well. So please check our website first. And if you need more collateral, let me know, John M. at AmericanPromise.net. And then lastly, I want to talk about our really special relationships with both the Rotary clubs and the chambers. I believe our Rotary relationship is really from the inception of American Promise. We have many Rotarians from Maine to California to Wisconsin and Missouri. I saw them talking in the chat earlier today. And we have customized Rotary presentations, and they're customized to take into account the core documents from Rotary, including the 4-way test and the 8 pillars of positive peace. So these presentations, and we have a new one coming out for the Rotary shortly, will be available on our website. And lastly, let's talk about the chambers. We've had a long relationship with the chambers, but really it kicked off this past year with the input of Dave Black in Harrisburg. We've had over 12 presentations with chambers all over Pennsylvania. And additionally, we got their government affair committee endorsements, including the Greater Lehigh Chamber, which you can see their logo here at the bottom. They're one of the top 10 chambers in the country. And these type of chamber endorsements are really, really useful when we talk to legislators, because legislators want employers in their districts. So if you have any Chamber of Commerce or Rotary connections, please work with me and we'll be very happy to get presentations started. I think that about wraps it up. Thank you, and I'm really looking forward to a successful 2023 with all of you. And now I'm passing it off to Dr. Jessica, our VP for Outreach.
All right, thank you, John. I'll wait till you stop. Okay, there you go. Thanks, John. So hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Jessica here. I'm the VP of Outreach. And if you don't know, I am a social worker. My background is in social work. And so I bring a pretty different aspect to American Promise in really uniting social workers across the globe to engage in what we call political social work. So if you don't know, we have Mayor Karen Bass, who's the first mayor, well, a woman mayor in California. She's a social worker. And we have Congresswoman Sylvia Garcia, who's in Texas, also a social worker. And we have Congresswoman Barbara Lee, who's also in California, and she's a part of our phenomenal social work group as well. And so in 2022, we had a very successful year with social workers, partnering with Congressional Research Institute for Social Work and Policy, NASW. We even partnered with Vote ER with Aaliyah Bhatia. And, you can watch all those panel discussions on our YouTube channel, American Promise's YouTube channel. But this year we are really focusing on keying in on the key states, as Bill mentioned earlier, and really connecting with the local social work chapters within those, within those states, and also with local colleges and universities to really build out a Young Americans network. But if you want more information about the social work network that we are building out here at American Promise, you can email me at jessicah@americanpromise.net. And we also have a website, americanpromise.net /social-work that I will put in the chat. And, we're really looking to build that up and running to get more social workers within these states to really advocate for, for our mission and our cause. So with that, again, my email is jessicah@americanpromise.net, and the website is americanpromise.net /social-work. So I will pass it over to Jody now.
Thank you, Dr. Jessica. My name is Jody Holden, and I am with the American Promise Minnesota chapter. I joined in 2018, about a year after the Minnesota state chapter was formed. And why I joined American Promise was I believe that it is the fundamental issue that needs to be addressed in order for us to effectively address other issues that I feel strongly about, that we do not have a voice in our government to hear and pay attention to. Right now, what I'm working on is the Minnesota Faith-Based Initiative, where we're reaching out to faith-based organizations. Currently, we're doing that in the Twin Cities and the greater Twin City area churches, which include the southern Minnesota rural areas. So we are reaching out to all different faith-based organizations, but have had success initially with the Christian organizations so far. But again, our plans are to include the major faiths across the board. We're developing a handout right now that we can give to target audiences that we are focusing on. And so we're going to be doing in the immediate future, completing that handout. We have also are slated to give presentations to a local Presbyterian church, and have contacted other Presbyterian churches in the greater Twin Cities area. About 69 churches total in this presbytery of the greater Twin Cities area. 56 churches. We have the social justice contact person, the outreach contact person, which is usually the pastor, their name, their address, their phone number, and their email address on a spreadsheet. So we have a targeted list of people that we are connecting with. And then we also will be giving presentations to the Unitarian Universalist Church in Rochester, another major city south of us in Minnesota. We really want to focus on educating the faith-based people, congregations, and getting them to commit in a citizens pledge and to become involved as volunteers and to join our cause, and also to volunteer to meet with our legislators. That's our focus. So with that, I think I will turn it over to Marie next, our next presenter.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Marie Henselder-Kimmel. I'm a retired obstetrician gynecologist from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and I've been a volunteer with American Promise since 2017, when my local chapter was launched, and I'm currently a volunteer coordinator for the New Jersey State chapter. My participation in American Promise was really inspired by my experiences in my medical practice. I was really frustrated in the early 2000s to see the gridlock in healthcare policy, which honestly continues. But at that time, I saw many of my patients facing unaffordable medications and difficulty obtaining affordable health insurance unless they had an employer that provided a good plan and they were lucky enough not to have a pre-existing condition. But the profits of big pharma and health insurers were intact after their generous political spending and campaigns and lobbying, which only got worse after some Supreme Court decisions that were handed down around 2010 and 2011. To me, the crux of the problem was that the needs of Americans were being passed over in favor of the influence of the money of big donors, which gives me a segue into the writing and media team meetings that I'm going to talk to you about. We did have letters to the editor team previously that suspended last summer, and this is our new and improved version of those meetings. Our ultimate goal at American Promise is to raise the influence of the views of Americans to determine our representation in our government. And writing media pieces for advocacy actually helps us to exercise the freedom of our speech that we want to enhance by passing the 4R Freedom Amendment. So what better way to fight for an amendment than by using your voice to get your views out to your legislators and to your neighbors. In the monthly meetings that we'll have, we're going to cover best practices for writing pieces and getting pieces published, as well as interacting with local media. And we'll focus on best practices for letters to the editor, op-eds, trying to work with editorial boards of papers to get them to write editorials and to try to attract attention for articles to be written about our events or our efforts in our campaign. You may think, what's a 200-word letter to the editor in a newspaper going to achieve? Well, first of all, it is a thrill to see your name in the paper or on a digital platform when you do have something published. But more importantly, the letters to the editor help to educate the readers, start or continue a conversation with the editorial board, follow up another letter to the editor, article, or op-ed that your chapter has had published. And of course, the more pieces we get published, the more influence they have. Published media is definitely tracked by the staffs of our lawmakers, especially when we actually mention them by name. And we need to be purposeful about sending our published pieces to our lawmakers. So we're going to talk about ways to use those pieces to influence the electeds who, whether they oppose our amendment, or they're neutral about it, or they're actually in support, we can use our writing to push them further along the support the ladder of engagement, the ladder of support to win them as champions, hopefully, for our amendment process. And then, of course, we can ask our representatives to collaborate with us on op-ed pieces. This team is for everyone who wants to write, whether you're a newbie to an experienced writer. We're going to review the different types of media pieces, as I mentioned, tips and tricks in each meeting, and we'll include some time for active writing. In the past, we've done some projects to have pieces written for the candidate pledge work or Constitution Day, which is September 17th, or other events. We can focus in on a big news article, a national news article, and get a number of letters written about that or articles written about that. And so we'll plan for that as we move forward. We're actually going to start this team meeting next Tuesday, January 17th, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And I'm putting a bit.ly link in the chat to register. And that will that's already on the events calendar on AmericanPromise.net for events. And I believe it'll be in a follow-up email that we'll be getting. So I hope that you'll consider joining us, whether you can come in for one time or continue and come and meet with us every month. Look forward to seeing you.
All right, thank you, Marie. So we're right on time. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Jessica. No, I did intend to talk for a little bit longer. I'll go just a little bit past 9, try to address a couple of questions that were in the chat. We definitely will not have time to get to all of them because there were a lot. I know you have a bunch of questions in there. So let's just go through a couple. Let me say first, though, I just linked the Action Center in the chat. Make sure you go to that. That's action.americanpromise.net. And the Citizen Challenge for this month, the reason we're doing this is because we want people to be able to participate that aren't necessarily participating on a weekly basis. Not everybody can join the writing team and be participating all the time, or the legislative team. So this is our way to branch out and to communities and to people who understand that this is a problem, but aren't necessarily going to give us 10 hours a week or whatever. So we really want you to reach out and just let them know about this campaign, because that is how we amend the Constitution together. So the challenge is just invite 3 people. You could do it right now. You could text them on this call, and 3 people that you can think of that actually might be interested to learn more about this, and just link our website. And that is the challenge. And every single month, we're going to be having a different challenge that is simple but important in this campaign. And we're also going to be unveiling next month, which I didn't mention at the beginning, but we're going to be starting a Volunteer of the Month program as well, and highlighting all the actions that are happening out there and some of our best volunteers. So pretty excited about that too. Let's see, Christopher Gilkerson, you asked, what about if we reside in a state that's considered ready to ratify? I think that's a really good and important question, other than donating. Here's the thing, as Chris mentioned, there are states that you can look at and say, yeah, they're leaning Democratic, they'll probably support the amendment, but that's only the political side. We want to be building the people power and the community power in every single state. There's no state right now that would be considered ready to ratify in that sense. So even in Vermont, like where I am, okay, yeah, the legislature will probably still, will likely support the amendment, but we still want people on the ground. We want to be networking with businesses. People here might know people in one of our most important districts in one of our most important target states, right? So this is about bringing as many people into this campaign as we possibly can. So there is no state that we shouldn't be organizing in all the time. And that's what this Action Center is really about. We're going to provide you with the resources to go and start doing exactly that. And that's to your point too. That rolls into the second question I was going to take. Esther Diamond, you asked, where can we get some of this merchandise for these presentations and tabling? That's all going to be in the Action Center. We are going to be adding courses and resources to this pretty much constantly from here on out moving forward. So you will see all of that stuff in there. I would say maybe even within 2 weeks, you'll have that stuff. I don't think all of the presentations are linked in there right now, but we have been working on a modified presentation that we're going to be releasing. Absolutely, you'll have access to everything. And Esther, if you want support of any kind for that, like right now, just book a meeting. So go to the Action Center. Dre had laid out the Teams tab. There's literally a calendar for every one of those teams. So if you want to do community outreach, just book a 30-minute meeting. We will make sure you have all the support you need, all those resources. If you want to do legislative advocacy, same thing. 30-minute meeting, we will make the time for you. We want action happening all over the country from this year forward. We're going to get this amendment proposed and ratified by 2026. That is our intention, and we have every intention of making it a reality. So let's see, can I get to any others? Peggy Ernst, our American Promise supporters testifying before their respective state legislative committees on these resolutions. The answer is yeah, absolutely. We are. And you can learn more about that really just by joining some of these national calls. We'll be talking about that stuff. It's going to be very legislative focused next month. So make sure to RSVP for that February 8th call. So with that said, I know we're out of time here, so we're going to start. I'm going to wrap it up, but I really hope to meet all of you very soon. If you're new, make sure to volunteer, take the orientation, poke around the Action Center, give us feedback on it. But most importantly, take these resources and help us grow this campaign. That's what this is all about. We're doing this together. So anyway, Happy New Year, everyone. 2023 here, 2023, here we go. And enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone.